Hello. Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back to Mother's Journey to Holistic Health and Healing. I'm your host, Marissa Prieto. How are you all doing today, and how have you been lately? I myself have been pretty good. Busy with kiddos, with the girls are getting bigger and bigger every day. And they are going to be 18 months coming up next week, I believe. And my son is getting ready for intercession, his fall break. So I don't know about you and where you're from, but we are ready for the fall. We've had some pretty warm days, but we're looking forward to the cooler weather coming in. And this series here that I've got going on is on the power of energy healing modalities for optimal well-being, right? And I think it's really helpful, especially during these times when I just feel like throughout our outside world, through, all the terrible things that are happening, for example, in Gaza and other countries, and we hear about all these bad news, so this terrible news of these murders or accidents and children dying, and maybe things in your own personal life, like families getting sick or a loved one getting sick. And there's a lot of stress that our body can hold on to. And that affects not just our energy, but our health and our wellness, our well-being. So with these energy healing modalities, we are able to use them as tools to help us get through some of the stressful times in life, all that's going on around us. And of course, it's just part of our daily routine, even when times are not chaotic, just part of your self-care routine that you do for yourself. So I wanted to share a few of the modalities that I practice in my day that help me feel grounded, that help me release, any kind of fear, worry, doubt, stress, anxieties, because that's a big one for me. And coming back to these practices really helps me to connect, not just with my physical body, but, like with my spirit, with my emotional health, my mental health, right? And it reminds me that I can always come back to these to feel more grounded and feel more at peace. And that's what I want for you. I want you to feel peace in stressful and chaotic times. I know we may not be able to do that 100% all the time, but I want you to have some tools that can help you to come back to and help yourself feel better, right? So, and we don't have to spend lots of money on these modalities. You can learn how to do them on your own, which has what I've learned to do on my own. So the last few episodes that I talked about was on the power of meditation and the power of breath. If you haven't listened to those, check those two out. I talk about how those have been a really powerful part of my healing journey, part of my improved well-being, and just really helped me feel more resilient towards dealing with stress throughout the day. And, really just finding that joy and being more present and cultivating more mindfulness in the day and finding the little things, noticing the little things that are actually big things that brighten our day, that brighten our heart. So check those two out if you haven't already. And today I wanted to share and get into and talk about how music or sounds in general, right, could be a form of energy healing. And I realized this the other day when I was driving to pick up my son from school. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't even get into talking about what is energy healing, right? I just ran on a tangent and just started the episode. So I'll get a little bit into that. I'm going to get in a little bit into that and, of course, share my story, what's helping me, what I do to bring in music to help me with my energy healing, with my own healing, what it looks like in a typical day, things that I'm doing now that I didn't used to do before or that I did but just stopped doing. So I'm going to share that with you today and be vulnerable and just be open with you. And I hope that gives you some ideas, something that you could try, and note that, even if it seems out far-fetched or something you wouldn't normally even think of, or it'd be possible, or you'll be like, no, that's not me, maybe you could try it, right? And this is something that I shared in the other 2 episodes, is that if you were like be resistant or just having thoughts of this is not for me, or could never see myself doing that, or I don't have time, like any of those thoughts, that's when that might be a sign that, hey, maybe that is for me. Maybe I can give it a try, right? So let's get into that. I wanted to talk about if you want to call it sound healing, or like I said, music for healing, right? And our energy centers, right? So starting with energy healing, like what is energy healing? To me, and there can be different kind of definitions out there, whatever you find online. So we are energetic bodies. Like I think it's important to understand that we are energetic bodies. And we carry like an aura, we carry a certain electricity within our bodies. We have energy in our body, this life force that makes us feel alive or brings us down. Like we have different kinds of energies that can fluctuate from day to day, right? One day you might feel like you have like the most highest energy. Another day you might feel like, oh, like I have low energy, right? And that could be like within your physical body. So I feel like our energy, when we're talking about energy, it could be like, okay, wait, well, what's my physical energy level like, right? Within your physical body. What's my energy in my mental health, my mental body like? The energy in my emotional health, what's that like? And even your spiritual health. So for me, I visualize, like if you're familiar with the chakras, you know that each has a different color associated with it. Like the crown right above your head is kind of like a purplish. Then you have your third eye, which is more like a blue, and your throat, which is more kind of like a lighter blue. Your heart is your green. Your solar plexus is more like a yellow, right? And then you have your sacral, which is at the bottom, your sacral, which is a more orange color, and your root, which is more like a red color. So sometimes for me, like I feel like when I feel off balance or in balance, I should say, or maybe my mood's low, or I'm just not in it, like it's maybe a rough day, whatever, a difficult time, I feel like my energy, or like the light within me, it feels kind of dim. Like I just see it as a light, and it's kind of dim. It's not shining as bright, right? And so it helps me reflect on, what's dim right now in me, is it my spirit? Is it, my mind? Like, am I having unhelpful, negative thoughts? Is it my emotions? Is there something that I'm holding on to that I'm not addressing and that I need to release? Is it my physical body? Have I been like sitting for too long, or have I not been getting enough rest or fueling my body adequately, right? So if that kind of maybe paints the picture for you, get an idea more of like assessing your energy in terms of like the 4 bodies of health, right? Which I talk about a lot and very passionate about, that we got to work on all of these areas of our health and well-being, work on this parts of the self, your mind, your body, your heart, which is like your emotional, and your spirit, your spiritual health, for us to feel in balance, right? For us to feel balanced, for us to feel grounded, for us to feel at our most optimal well-being. And for some people that can sound intimidating, like how do I work on all those things when, I've got this, and this. And I've managed to figure out how I can work on my 4 bodies of health, here and there, like consistently. And that's what I help my clients do now. So that's something I'd hope that through this podcast, I can share some of these tools and help you so you can figure that out for yourself eventually, right? Because when I'm working with my clients, I always tell them, like, I don't want you to feel like you have to work with me for such a long time. Like, I want you to get to a place where you have all the tools, you have what you need, that you can go on and pull out the tools that you need when you need it. And you'll have this confidence built up, right? So, yeah. So think of your body, you're an energetic body. Your energy ebbs and flows, right? There are different things that are going to drain your energy. There are different things that are going to uplift your energy. And even going deeper, we think about any traumatic events that either happened to us or to our mother. And so I have read some research, it's very interesting that, whatever trauma or whatever stress that our mother went through passes somehow through the placenta. So we feel some of that stress or in the womb, our child, right? They sense some kind of stress. It's very interesting. And even going further, people talk about ancestral trauma, where they feel like that has carried from generation to generation to generation, like in our DNA somehow, and how that's partially tied to us. So that's another podcast episode. But thinking about just simple, not to get complex about it, the energy healing modalities are meant to help you feel more balanced, right? They're not a cure, right? Because maybe you have some things that need to be addressed in healing through other different types of modalities, not just necessarily the energy part, right? So that will help you to feel more in alignment. They will help you to feel more balanced, that you're feeling better emotionally, so that you're feeling better mentally, so that you're feeling better spiritually connected and physically in your body. So throughout the rest of this series, I'm going to go over several other energy healing modalities that have helped me that I want to share with you too. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about the sound healing or music healing, whichever you want to call it. So just know that you are an energetic body. And maybe a start for you is identifying what uplifts my energy, what drains my energy. And I'm pretty sure you can think of some right off the bat. Are they certain people? Are they certain places? Are they certain habits, patterns in terms of your way of thinking, right? Even just your way of thinking about something, a belief or a pattern, a habit can bring your energy down. So like, for example, maybe it's a memory or something that somebody commented about your body image or something. And every time you think about that, you're triggered about that memory, it brings you down. Or maybe it is like a positive memory, something that you remember about something in your childhood or something you did with your child, and you were like brightened up by it, and you feel more uplifted, and you feel love and joy and peace. So as you can tell, like there's different things that affect our energy, and think about it maybe as an energy brink. What the foods that you're eating, for example, how is that giving you energy or not giving you energy? Is it draining you? Or are you not eating enough throughout the day or drinking enough water, right? Your sleep. So physical body wise, you're thinking about, how am I depleting my energy physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Is it non-existent? And how am I contributing to my energy bank? Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So that's why I wanted to go through this series, is that way you can pick some tools from here to see how and what you could add to increasing your energy bank, because I think we all could use that, right? Especially when we have little ones or kids, teenagers, older kids, whatnot, whatever ages your kids are. I feel like that mother worry is always going to be there. So let's get on into it. So the music part of it, the music healing, right? So sound healing, and I believe there's some research on it, right? I'm not going to get into the science or anything like that about it, but some of the science has shown that the vibrations, the sound of which whatever that music makes of it, maybe it's an instrument like a drum or a flute, or maybe it's some rattles, or maybe it's something that you're listening to on YouTube, like a music for reducing stress, for example, right? You might see like what type of frequency it is, like 454, for example, or there's just different types of frequencies for however you want to feel in your body. So the different type of frequency, the vibration of it, like for example with meditation, they say or when you're breathing, make a sound, like right? Because that vibration heals that part of the energy. And there's different frequencies. Like it could be higher, it could be right? So it can just have different frequencies, and that activates or releases a certain energy within us. It could be very powerful, very powerful. So sound healing, music healing, wherever it's coming from, maybe, like I said, an instrument or singing, or it could be something you're just listening to on the radio that you, like, when you hear it, you're just like, it makes you feel so good. Or maybe it's going to hear a band that you like and hearing jazz band or a choir sing, somebody sing, right? Because of these frequencies, they're igniting something, they're activating something within you. that makes you feel better, which is a form of energy healing. Like, it's making you feel better in your well-being. And the benefits to music therapy, sound healing, whatever you want to call it, is not just, physically wise, right? We know that it can relieve tension, like muscle tension, help with your sleep, right? Help improve insomnia, anxiety, depression. Like, those are all could be things that it could help with, or blood pressure, even circulation, your emotional health. For example, for some people, it shared that instead of the medication, sound therapy was very powerful for them. And this is where, like, I'm thinking people were going regularly to a person that was a practitioner with sound healing. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to go to like a person who does sound healing with these singing bowls, just to get this healing. Like, you can incorporate music and different sound frequencies from your own home, from the YouTube, from buying your own instruments and playing with different frequencies to see what activates your energy systems and helps you release. So I hope that's making sense. It will activate that part of your parasympathetic nervous system. So obviously that's going to help you feel more calm, more relaxed, more at ease, more at peace. And depending on the type of music you're listening to, maybe you need like uplifting energy, right? For example, for me, I'll be at home cooking and I have my little ones are just kind of playing. I'm trying to cook a meal and my son's trying to, do his homework or do something. And I'm trying to change the energy. If it feels like there's frustration in the air, I put on some music for all of us to listen to. Sometimes it's upbeat where we could kind of dance and have fun. So I kind of get a feel for what the energy is like in the room and how we're feeling, and then what kind of music to play on our stereo system at home. And that helps to lighten the energy and that uplifts your well-being. So it's very powerful what music, what sound, vibrations, the frequencies can do for your energy and for your well-being. Some of the things that I've put back into practice for me has been more singing, bringing back some instruments like using my rattles again, a flute, and drumming. So those have been some that I've started, some that I used to have in the past. So I'll start with singing. Singing has always been, I'm not going to say always, but probably since like middle school and 5th grade was when I started singing more. I would like record music on the cassette tapes and, write down the lyrics, hit play, pause it, write down the lyrics, rewind it, play. So if you remember with the cassette tapes, you know what I'm talking about. And I would just do that and I would sing the song. And then eventually I got into choir and I loved it. And I got really deep into choir and singing in high school and middle school. I'd sing in like the baseball games, the anthem. And, I just got really into singing to where even when I graduated high school, I wanted to go into music as a choir teacher. But I didn't go through with it because my dad got sick with cancer and I wanted to help him. I wanted to help others through nutrition therapy. So I went in that direction. So music or singing has always been something that's made me feel good and a place of like joy, and is part of like me, I love to sing. And there was some time there that I wasn't singing as much, especially in that time period when I went heavy into, for example, bodybuilding, and I got, had a lot of disordered eating habits. Like I got really heavily into my body image and obsession with eating healthy. There was this period of time in my life, I shared that in the very first episode of the podcast. That was where my spirit energy was just very dim. It was just very dim. And I didn't sing as much anymore. I was too much in my mind and in my head at that time. So my dad loves to sing, my sister loves to sing, like we love to sing, especially like in karaoke. And I guess when my son was born is when I brought more singing into my life, right? Sang to him when he was in the womb, sang to him when he was born, and bringing that even more so now throughout my day. So it's not just when they're going to bed, or it's not when I'm driving in the car and there's a song that I like playing, right? I've brought it more intentional, that it comes more authentically. Like if I'm doing some cleaning or cooking or anything like that, it makes me feel good and it brings up my energy and my sense of well-being. So maybe for you it's singing. Maybe you notice that when you sing, you feel happy or you feel more joy, right? And that's something that I've brought into my meditations, believe it or not. My meditation is sometimes I will just start singing. I'll get my rattle, I'll get my drum, I'll be meditating, and out just comes, these vibrations, these sounds. And before I know it, I have like a little song. Sometimes I have lyrics and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I write down lyrics, which has been very surprising because I remember writing a song in 8th grade, and ever since then, I haven't written. So that has been really interesting, as well as I'm connecting more into my spirit and, my soul, and this music, these lyrics are just coming out, and it's been really beautiful to see, and sharing some of it with my family, but not all of it yet. And the drum. So you have the drum. That is very powerful. The drum or the rattles, like really any kind of instruments that you could think of that don't have to cost a lot of money. And just learning. I bought a guitar. This reminds me, I bought a guitar before my son was born because I wanted to learn how to play. So I went to classes, and I think I was able to do like a year of classes. But then when he was born, guess what? Yep, I didn't keep up with it. And at that time, let's see, at 2020, it was COVID time. And I remember my dad was going through, and my parents, they were going through a really hard time. They had a lot of anxiety. And, I took my guitar to my house and my dad so that he could use, because music's a very healing, energy healing for my dad as well. And he started using my guitar, and now he plays it at home at their house, and he makes his own songs as well. And he's learned how to play. So I'm glad that that's helped him. But one day I want to get back to the guitar. But, just thinking about like, what kind of instrument do you think you'd like to learn how to play? Or that maybe you were like, oh, wow, that person plays that so well. I wish I could do that too. The reason why you had that thought is because that's deep down inside. That's something that you want to do, right? It's in there. You had that idea, that thought. Now it's just acting upon it and doing it. But what holds us back is the thoughts of what other people will think, the judgment, right? And it's getting past that, those unhelpful, negative thoughts. And like, wow, what are they going to think of me? Or like, I'm not going to sound good, or da-da-da-da. Like, you can see how much our mind gets in front of our spirit. And that energy healing, our mind energy gets dim, right? Instead of like supporting ourselves with something else, like, I'm learning. I can learn how to do this. If they can do it, I can do it, right? And there's so many resources out there. The challenge is just sticking with it and taking small steps to connect with it. So that's something I would encourage you to do, is think about like, is it singing? Do you like to sing and you used to sing and you stopped? Why? Why did you stop singing? How can you bring more song and singing into your life? Is it playing an instrument? Is there a certain instrument that maybe you used to play when you were younger, middle school or high school, you don't play it anymore? Maybe it's dusted in the shelf somewhere all full of dust and you got to dust it off and start playing again. Maybe you've always like went to a concert and you're like, oh, I love the way that sounds. I wish I could learn how to play it, or whatever. Thinking about, you admire somebody that plays something. Oh, I want to learn how to play that. I wish I could. Do it. Life's too short. Life's too short, and why not? Because it's going to help you with your well-being. It's going to light up your mental spirit. It's going to light energy. It's going to lighten, raise your emotional energy, raise your spiritual energy, your physical energy, all of them. So that's why I see them as such powerful healing, energy healing modalities, because they raise our vibration. They raise our energy more positively. That enhances our well-being. So that would be something that I could share, is like the singing, which is what I've brought back, the instruments, which is what I've brought back, and kind of letting go of some of those thoughts of like, I'm not musically talented, or I'm tone deaf, or I don't know anything about music or notes or anything like that. You can learn if you're willing to try and you're willing to do that, right? The choice is up to you whether or not you want to choose to do it or not. And you just start small. So that's something that I've been doing, is investing in a little flute, a little Native American flute, playing with it here and there, rattles that I have, our drum that we have here at home, and really using that mostly either like when I'm in meditation or when we're all in the living room and we're just playing, being silly, and we'll just start pounding on the drum and singing and chanting, and and the kids like it. So you have those, and then you also have the singing bowls, right? Which either I know people that invest in singing bowls and they come in different frequencies, or they just buy one, or they go to a sound healing session with an actual person who does them, like they're certified, and they do sound healing sessions. It could be like a 1-hour session or whatnot. That costs money, right? So people go to sound healing sessions. I know that people do that. And there is also, you've got YouTube. You've got lots of resources on YouTube. Music for anxiety, for insomnia, right? And you're going to get tons of vibrational frequencies. Tons of them. And I think it really just kind of depends with playing with which the ones that you feel resonate with you the most, that hit you, where you're like, wow. After you listen to it, you're like, wow, I feel so much better. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I needed that. And I'll give you an example. Earlier this week, I think it was probably on Monday, and this is around the time of the full moon. We were having a full moon, right? The moon in Pisces. And which have been talking about, like if you're into astrology, they've been talking about like releasing, this is a time of cleansing whether things in your home, things from your past, releasing emotions, that kind of thing. And which usually happens around every full moon. But this time when I was listening to a particular YouTube channel, I can share that with you. Let me just pull it up because I think they're called, I have a couple that I listen to, which is Chantress Siba, and the other one I think is Dynasty Electric. Okay, Dynasty Electric. I love that they combine different kinds of instruments they bring into it. They'll use singing bowls, they'll use chimes, they'll use the flute, and she uses her voice. So it's a combination of different frequencies from all these different instruments. So there was one that I was doing earlier this week that was a frequency of 444, which was kind of like for the heart healing frequency. And I'm just laying there in bed, and I have this in my earphones in my ear, and just listening. And then all of a sudden, like, I started getting thoughts and memories from, well, first of all, from a pregnancy loss that I had a couple years ago, 2019. And that came up for me. And then some other emotions came up of like, I had a huge aha moment in regards to like my inner child and releasing resentment towards my mom and my dad. And I just had like this huge awakening that I thought, wow, like I've been holding on to this for so long. No wonder I feel disconnected from them, or no wonder I feel this or this. So I was able to release a lot of emotions, bring tears, and let those tears heal me. That water, let that heal, let the sound heal me, the tears heal me. And sitting in that emotion and feeling it, and showing my self-compassion of like, it's okay, you felt that way. And after that, like the next day, I felt so much better. I felt a lot lighter, just a little bit more at peace, like not a heaviness. And it was something I hadn't realized really before. So it was a pretty significant, a pretty special moment. So sometimes these sounds, these vibrations will lead to maybe you releasing something emotionally that maybe you've been holding on to. And our emotions, they get stuck in certain areas of our bodies. They cause blockages, which doesn't let the energy flow throughout our body more naturally. They can get stuck in certain parts of our body, which is why we feel stress or tense or negative thoughts. Like all these areas are chakras, you want to call them, right? These energy systems, they can get blocked, which does not make us feel balanced or grounded. So for me, that was a big one. I had to release some emotions that, well, they needed to be felt and released. And so that was a very powerful reminder for me of like why the sounds, these vibrations are so powerful for our well-being, because they help us release tension, release anything that's weighing us down from our physical body, release any kind of emotions that we're holding on to. Maybe it's like a buildup of negative thoughts and resentment and thoughts of this and that that's bringing us down mentally in our energy. Maybe that's bringing you down or towards yourself. And when we can become aware of it and using this type of tool, it will release whatever needs to be released for you. Okay, so whatever, you don't even know what the heck's gonna come up. Like, it'll just come out of nowhere. And you're like, what the heck? Where did that come from? Oh, that needed to be released. Which for example, that's what happened in my case. I was like, whoa, where did that come from? I didn't expect that. And that's all part of this healing journey, right? Let's gather some tools to help us feel our best while also healing at the same time. Healing these parts of us, these parts from our inner child, these parts as teenagers, as young adults, like doing what we can to heal ourselves, to break any generational cycles that we don't want our children, our kids to go through as well, and do our best to be there for them. And even introducing these tools to our children, right? So I talked about it with the other 2 sessions, meditation and breath, teaching my son the breathing techniques. And sometimes I'll guide him through a guided visual meditation if he's having a hard time going to sleep. And that helps him too. So we can use these modalities with our children and help them see the power behind them and their energy. He has a harmonica that he'll play every now and then. And my girls love to get the rattles, or when their grandpa comes and plays on the drum, they don't want him to stop, It puts us in a happier state, elevates our vibration to feel more at peace, to feel more uplifted, more positive, more love, right? And who does not want to feel more of that? So you've got lots of tools there. Those are just some that are helping me. One, singing. Did you used to sing and need to bring that back into your life like I have? 2, is there some kind of instruments that you want to play or maybe used to play, need to bring those into your life? Taking baby steps and learning. And just the first step is deciding, making that decision to do it. And the third thing is maybe going out to check out a sound healing session with a practitioner, right? Booking a session with them. Or 4, maybe learning sound healing on your own, investing in a singing bowls and learning on your own on YouTube or doing a course. Or 5, maybe it's finding some frequencies on YouTube, some YouTube channels that when you're listening to some sounds, that, or you have a playlist that you create on your playlist, that when you hear these songs, they make you feel more peace, more joy, they make you feel more balance, whatever they make you feel that adds to your energy bank. Remember those, make a playlist for those. And you'll know that those are the ones that raise up your energy bank versus depletes your energy bank. So that would be, I just need to get a sip of water. Those would be some suggestions that I could share that have helped me, that hopefully have given you some insight or ideas that maybe will help you embark on your own sound healing, music healing journey to help you with your energy healing. And also to remind you, make a list of some of the things that drain your energy bank mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And I'll give an example on the spiritual part of it. In the past, like last year, I was not praying as much. I was not taking time to meditate as much, not being as present to notice the elements, the air, Mother Earth, the water. Like there's so many practices that I've put into, that I do now, rituals, practices that I do now that I didn't do last year, where it's like totally different now. And I feel the change and I see the change. So that's just something to share on how much it's helped, just putting in these practices, the energy healing practices, and how they've significantly really improved my well-being. And most importantly, because of that, the anxiety was a big part to me not feeling my best. So this is why I do a lot of this work, is inner work, is to, find my peace. Find my peace, remember my peace, find my love, remember that love, and joy. And that when anxiety comes up, I know what I can use. I know what to do when that happens. So I hope that resonates and is helpful for you today. Please don't forget that if you are enjoying the podcast so far, share it with somebody that you feel would benefit from it. Please feel free, and I invite you to leave a review on podcast, on the iTunes, on Spotify, wherever you're listening. Please leave a review. It'll help the podcast grow. And also, if you are interested in wellness coaching, one-to-one wellness coaching, I'd love to invite you to book a free discovery call with me. You can head to the link in the description. I'll take you to my calendar so we can have a time to talk and, what you're going through, what you need help and support with. And I'd love to talk with you. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, friends. I hope you'll share with me, send me an email. Let me know what you're embarking on. Are you getting a new instrument? Are you getting back to singing? I want to know what you're doing. All right. Thank you so much, friends. We'll talk next time.